I wanted to come on here and tell you about a very interesting person that I know. I love it anytime I come across people who I find different or interesting, and I thought you might too. So I wanted to tell you a little bit about her. For example, she was the only child to both her mother and father, but what makes this interesting all the more is not only that she's an only child, but that her parents were young parents. They were 17 and 18 years old when she was born, and she ended up being the only child of these parents who were also already drug and alcohol addicts by the time she was born. Kind of unique that they would not go on to have more kids. Anyway, she's also had 5 different last names. How many people do you know have had 5 different last names? How does that happen, you might be asking? Well, first of all, when she was born, her mother gave her her last name. A few years later, she was adopted by her paternal aunt and had a legal name change to her dad's side of the family. So she took on the paternal last name. When she was an adult, she ended up getting married and took on her husband's last name, but then she ended up getting divorced. Then she ended up getting married a second time and took on that last name. But unfortunately, that also ended in divorce. So what is a woman to do after 2 divorces and 2 maiden last names? She decided she didn't want to take on any of the maiden names and she didn't want to keep the married name, so she decided the only logical thing to make up her own last name, hence 5 last names. So that's kind of something that makes her a little interesting. Also, numbers seem to be an interesting theme in her life. She's had 5 associate degrees. Much like the last names, didn't really plan it that way. That's just how it turned out. But yes, has 5 last names. She loves to learn. She's very curious and also all over the place. So it just turned out that she ended up with 5 associate degrees. Furthermore, she does not have any children of her own. So not only is she an only child, she does not have children of her own. Kind of unique, again, when you consider that she was born to young parents who were addicts and did not have any children of her own. Finally, I think one of the things that makes her really interesting is that she's done pretty much everything under the sun in terms of work. That in itself is a story for another day, but she currently works in the film industry occasionally, and there are some really neat stories there, but also in promotions and marketing and sales and things of that nature. So just a little something about someone I find very interesting that I wanted to somewhat introduce you to for now. She will be here on the show to tell you a little bit more about these stories herself, and I just wanted to let you know that her name is Vanessa and she is me. So it's nice to meet you. I'm glad to be at this channel where I can share some stories that hopefully you will find interesting, and I know that I'll find some of you out there who are also sharing your stories to be very interesting, and so I love that we can come together on this channel to do that. So anyway, that's a little something for you for now, and we'll see you next time.